Hello everyone and welcome to the review of Sacred Geometry Oracle cards and the Sacred Geometry cards for the Visionary Path. I have been looking at both of these decks for a while now, and I know they've been around for a while, but I finally took the plunge and I got them both. I couldn't decide between which one, because every time I looked at unboxings and walkthroughs and reviews, to me they just spoke together and they came together, and if you've seen my unboxing of this one and the unboxing of this one, you will see that they really are a continuation of each other. And I'll show you guys today, especially. So let's go for it, right? As you've seen, they open up like a drawer like that. I've already taken out the book and the cards. So I'm going to show you guys. So here we go. So I mixed the two, right? So as you can see, we have here, this is the first one, which is just the Sacred Geometry Oracle cards. And that one has a lot of the simple shapes, which is, we're starting with the circle. We're starting with duality. We're starting with Vesica Pisces. So we started with the circle. Now we're getting a little more complex, right? Triangle, square, the golden spiral, DNA, even more complex spiral, a pentagon, a labyrinth, seed of life, flower of life, Metatron's cube, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, the infinity, nonagon, Taurus, and the Kabbalah. There are actually more, and I'll show you guys in a second, but these are the main shapes that it comes in. And then we also have, we have these, the tetrahedron, the octahedron, the hexahedron, which is a cube, dodecahedron, icosahedron, the Merkabah, Antakarana. I'm going to show you guys what these are, but the lesson, together, earth grid, right? That's a pretty much geometric shape as well, and the fruit of life. I'll show you guys these because when I got this deck, I was so excited, and it is 64 cards each. So it does make it for a pretty thick Oracle deck, right? So this is a regular tarot card, right? I chose Temperance, and they are a little bit bigger and a little bit wider. I actually find this size of card to be pretty much perfect. It's not too big, but not too small where I can maybe not see the images. And if you guys haven't seen the unboxings, the images can get pretty complex and intricate. So I appreciate the size of the cards. They're not humongous where they don't fit in your hand, right? These are the backs of the Visionary Path. And as I showed you guys, this is the back of the Sacred Geometry cards. Now, I'm going to show you guys these cards because these are actually repeats. So as you saw, of course, as per the name, it's all about sacred geometry, right? We have all these shapes of sacred geometry and we have all of these. Now, this one is from the blue box. This one, which I actually really love because it's colorful and it's like she made this out of paper and took a picture of it. So we kind of get an idea of what it looks like 3D. And this one comes from the red box. So we actually have about 11 repetitions, which I'm actually not criticizing it that much because out of 128 cards, only 11 repeat. So it's not a big deal. And I understand why they repeat, because perhaps you only got one and not the other. So I understand why they're repeated. It's really not a big deal. But I just want to show you guys that they do repeat. So this one, they call it the Merkabah, but on the red box, they call it Star Tetrahedron, which it can be called both. Antakarana, and this one comes in the red box, and it's a little bit more complex. So in general, the artwork for the Sacred Geometry for the Visionary Path is more complex than the first one. The first one starts with the circle, right? And it ends with the Kabbalah, and it ends with the nonagon, and it ends with the Merkabah. So it does get complex as well. But as you can see, actually I'm going to show you guys. So let's take DNA, for example. So she gives you the simple shape of where the sacred geometry, the essence of the sacred geometry. But then she incorporates it in different artworks. And I'm just choosing a few here to show you guys what that looks like. So for example, we have Divine Mother, and we have a spiral here in the middle. We also have a star tetrahedron or a Merkabah behind her, but we got this spiral, which could be DNA. We also have purification meditation, so all these spirals are in it. We also have spiraling into love. This one's a little bit more obvious of that it's DNA. And we have the rainbow DNA. There are a few more in there as well, but she does that. Francine Hart, the artist, does that with these shapes. So we get into the tetrahedron. And then we also get into artwork that shows you the tetrahedron. For example, this one. If you guys can see all the triangles, right? Tetrahedrons. And if we're talking about, for example, flower of life, there are quite a few here. This one has the flower of life all in the background. This one has the flower of life in the center and a little more subtle. This one is all about flower of life. And this one too. This one's called the nucleus. And then we have transmutation. So this shape is in here as well. So the Merkabah is here, more flower of life. So, and the Taurus too. So as you guys can see, she gives you the essence of the sacred geometry, and then she just incorporates it and shows us where we can find it in the world, right? In the heart, in the sky, in the trees, in the clouds, right? This is Pele Summons, which is a volcanic goddess. Gentle spirits, we see these, the infinity symbols and the spirals around turtles. We also see octagons on their shells. So it definitely is a study in sacred geometry and how it integrates actually in our lives, right? Now I'm showing you guys these two. So we have the lesson, which actually isn't a shape. I mean, the flower of life is very prominent in these two cards. And as you can see, it is pretty much the same artwork, just more colorful in the sacred geometry. I'm only showing you guys these because in the book, they have the same message, right? We have Together. This is from the Sacred Geometry blue box. And this one is also called Together, but it's from the red box. We have Earth Grid, and we have Gaia Grid. Now, in the books, they do have the same messages. And finally, we have the Fruit of Life, more of a simple Fruit of Life that you can clearly see it. Then you have a more complex Fruit of Life, which I love the artwork. It's so beautiful. So we can see the Flower of Life behind it. We can see the Fruit of Life, and we can even see a Merkabah like in there, like Metatron's cube, right? So in this one, these are the same messages. So you guys can choose to keep these or not. And like I said, it's 11 cards. It doesn't really bother me that much because again, it's 64 cards in each. If you choose one, you're not missing out on anything. If you choose the other, again, you're not missing out on anything. It's just when you get them together, you get these repeats. And like I said already, the images in the books the messages in the books are the same. So because like I said, it's 128 cards all together, it does make for a pretty bulky oracle deck. And I don't have huge hands, but they're not that small either. So as you can see, this is 128 cards. And it shuffles well. You can riffle shuffle too, but I find it to be a little bit more difficult when you riffle shuffle. because they are pretty thick on your hands. Right? See, and I didn't grab these. So this is pretty good. And then to add 11 more, it does kind of add more of a thickness to it. So I've been using these, but I've actually been keeping these out just because the images, the messages are still here. So if they want to come out, they will come out. Now, I'm not someone to throw any cards out. So I'm still using these for meditations, for if I want to do a crystal grid or anything like that. I still use these cards. And I know that these cards have been around for a while, but they are new to me. So if I do choose, if I find that I do need these cards in here, I will put them in. Of course I will. It's just for now because I'm still exploring what the cards are and what they mean and how they relate to my life and how I can work with them on the daily. Then I just kind of shuffle like this and I pull one. We pull the Garden of Delights. And then I look at the back because the backs are so different, right? That you can't really confuse the two. This one is from the blue box and this one is from the red box. And I keep the books out. My books are right here. I keep them out so I can just kind of go for them for reference. So really to me, it's not a huge deal. So the way I use this deck mostly for now is I meditate with it. I do pull messages out of it, but I pull one card and I look at it. I examine the artwork. I examine the colors as well, right? A lot of red and orange here. So maybe a little bit of a message from my base chakra or sacral, what to do with that. Together, right? Community and Merkabah and all that. And then I look at it. I just kind of take a moment. I do go to the books still. I actually love reading what the artist has to say and what they intuit and what they channeled from the messages. But I take a minute with it myself. And then I go and look at the book and see what they had to say. So yeah, again, I couldn't really do one without the other. I had to get them both together because I find them to be fully a continuation of each other. For example, the first one the red one, the second deck, doesn't start with the circle. And the circle and the square are such a simplistic shapes that I was like, well, I don't want to miss out on the simplicity of life, right? And the visionary path I find to be more intricate, deeper, more colorful, and it's got a little more depth to it. So I don't want to miss out on that either. So I had to get both of them, right? Because then I'm met with shapes like this, which is just a simple shape, but I can still meditate on it and see what it means. And shapes like this too, they relate to different to different chakras in our lives, to different chakras in our bodies. And then not only that, but then I can see this and I can perhaps see a more intricate artwork and be like, all right, how did these see more DNA here? And then we have another tetrahedron and triangles and circles. So how do these simple shapes relate to messages in my life? And how can I go from simplicity to intricate and eccentric and then back to simplicity? Honoring the ebbs and flows of everything. So anyway, I hope that this served you well in some way on how to use both of these decks together. Actually, I do want to touch on one more thing, because I saw someone do this, and I actually found it to be pretty smart. So as you guys can see, these are the shapes, right? And there are more here. Let's just take a minute. So for example, Sri Yantra, this is the expanded Sri Yantra, and then we have the Ho'oponopono, so we see Sri Yantra everywhere. So let me just take a minute here for you guys to show you. So what this person did is they took all these shapes, the simpler ones, And they actually made it into a separate oracle deck. Let me just go through this pile real quick to see if there are more. Yes. So as you guys can see, we're taking the simpler shapes, right? Like it's not, this isn't like super artistic, right? It doesn't look like this. So that's what I mean. We're just taking these shapes here, the basic shapes. Just bear with me for a hot second, everybody. Okay, so here's what this person did, and I actually thought it was really clever. So here we have a pretty thick deck, right? A pretty good deck of all of the shapes. Right, we got all the shapes. So what this person did is they would shuffle and be like, which shape do I need? Let's see this one, tetrahedron. Awesome. So then we put it here, and then we go to the rest of the deck, which now is actually much more manageable, right? Not super thick, it's actually pretty good. So then she pulls another card intuitively to see which one wants to come out. And we got Compassionate Pele. So then she would read both and see how they relate to the reading, to what's going on, to her life, how she can meditate with it, right? So the tetrahedron is one of the most basic shapes. And then Compassionate Pele is almost like the activation of this shape, right? Or this is the meditative part, the inward journey, and this would be how can we put it out into the world? How can we get fired up? How can we, so more of a yin energy, and this would be more of a yang energy. So now we were back to two different oracles, but they are more manageable to work with because I'm not putting these two together, you know? And we have layers to our reading. So I just want to share that with you guys because when I saw that person do that, I was like, wow, that's actually really, really smart. So I may do this in the future as well. For now, like I said, I am still working and getting to know this oracle. I'm getting to really familiar with it and really getting to know how it works and how it works with me. So for now, I do keep everything together. And like I said, I pull one, or at most I pull two just to kind of get the messages and, to really get the messages and meditate with them. All right, guys, so I hope this served you well. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Thank you for your love, support, and much love out there. Have a beautiful day.